ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
I am doing good today. Ready to do another episode of this fine show. You've been watching that new Penguin series, haven't you?
I have, actually.
I have finished 2 episodes, and I got to tell you, man, I can't stop watching it.
I will tell you this. You know what? One of the funniest things, and this might be a good Patreon thing. I heard an analogy that, so obviously you guys know I'm a big Bill Burr podcast guy, and he was watching it. He said he's really into it, which is weird because he is not a comic book guy at all.
It's not a comic book show.
So his take was, if you like Sopranos, you'll like this show.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like that than it is a comic. It's based in the world of, by the way, did you know it's based in the Matt Reeves Batman universe? That's where they say it. That. Yeah, they said it's actually based in that world, the one that Robert Pattinson's in. It's that world versus the others. So,
but if we decide to talk about it, where would we put it?
Well, man, honestly, I tell you what, man, we would probably put that thing right on YouTube at tappedoutpod.com, for our members, or patreon.com/tappedoutpod as well. Because look, man, I'm doing the show notes now for Patreon members. I'm doing, lots of us. I started a new thing that I did. We did on the road. I think that's something kind of want to start doing going forward. But
cool.
All of that, and by the way, you get the show early, all that kind of stuff too, right there on tappedoutpod.com or patreon.com/tappedoutpod.
Well, a lot of people should get it early so they can decide where they're going this weekend. I think that's the best bet. You get our show previews, you get where we're going to do, you get making the drives, our plans on the best shows, you get reviews on last week's shows early, so you know what you're going to plan on doing. So I think it's a no-brainer for wrestling fans.
Yeah, I do too. But I am a big fan of that, man. I'm already
gritty is the word.
Oh yeah. Very gritty, very, like I said, it says, and I think that's where the Sopranos kind of the comparison.
Colin Farrell, though, how'd they make him look like that?
That's a lot of makeup, dude. They did a heck of a job. Rachel didn't even recognize who he was because I paused it and said, "Who do you think that is?" And she was like, "I have no idea."
How about that foot?
I knew that was going to be up your alley.
I saw that foot. I'm like, damn. Man, my foot looked better than that. I ain't got no foot twisted up that bad.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly, man, for sure. But look, I mean, it's a great thing. If you have not watched it, I highly recommend it. I'm just doing it on Max. I'm just, kind of burrowing right through it kind of thing. But it's really good.
I'm watching it on Amazon, and that's 2 different networks. And the oddest thing,
is it free or did you buy it?
No, it's part of my Amazon TV.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. But we got shows running on different networks, and the show that got helped the most I've been watching is NXT. And could it be the conversation you had about your brother Danny is true? Could going to a broadcast network over the air have helped them this much? Have they helped NXT this much?
Well, the irony is my brother picks it up and I lose it. And I have streaming services out the wazoo and I lose it. I don't have, for some reason, some way, some form, fashion, I don't have a CW network on any of my streaming things. So I've been watching it the next day, so I'm sure I count in some form or fashion. But yeah, listen, we are a couple weeks in, and by the way, we are obviously recording on Wednesday. NXT aired last night. Dynamite is recording or is live tonight. Look, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, but there's going to be some rational thought at the end. I'm going to try to add some rational thought there. The question that somebody asked me was like, have they helped them? And it's like, I got the numbers. So the debut weekend or the debut week, NXT was on CW, 895,000. Hey, look, I didn't want to overreact, right? I said, hey, this thing's probably going to fall back in the 7s. That's what happens when you premiere. You get a huge number. And blah, blah,
we
blah.
had this conversation. You predicted high 6s, somewhere in the 7s, tops.
Yeah. Boy, was I wrong. Week 2 rolls out, 874. Barely a noticeable. I mean, this is literally a rounding error done.
That's a Randy Orton on your second episode bump right there.
Well, you also had Jade and Bianca there too, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I like that they're teasing. Listen, there's a whole theory, by the way.
and that Halloween Havoc show they're putting together, Nick, Sunday pay-per-views for NXT. I love what they're doing. I cannot wait for the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view. They're putting on such good stuff there. But you've got the analogy. What is the best bargain in sports entertainment?
I mean, it's a great question because here's the, look, we get into the numbers and the question was like, did CW like, I mean, do they look like geniuses, like genius for picking it up and paying like 20 to 25 million to the number that we hear, and they're drawing 895, 874. Warner Brothers now look, we're going to get into the tomato here in a minute. Warner Brothers, Discovery pays the 185 for AEW, and let's be blunt. Week 1, what Dynamite was on a Wednesday. We got to be clear here. The debut on the CW was on a Tuesday, so they're not the same nights. But 895 versus that 680 number was like, hey, that's why we thought like, hey, let's not overact. Let's get another weekend, whatever. Well, Lord help Dynamite, because the next week they got moved to Tuesday. There was an hour overlap. There was a NXT 8 to 10. Yeah. Dynamite was 9 to 11. So that 9 to 10 hour was overlapped. And, I mean, 329. Now, again, I want to be fair. Different time slot, different night. And by the way, I actually pushed back a little bit. Somebody talked about this major cut, and I'm going to ask you. When Smackdown was moved from Fox to Fox Sports 1, they were going from about 2 million to about 900,000 to 1 million, so half their audience. Well, if Dynamite's usually in the 600 range and they fell to 329, isn't that pretty comparable to the drop?
Yeah, that's very comparable. But explain to me why leaving USA made NXT do 200,000 more. You don't have it because of your streaming services. Is over the air TV that I didn't even know they did over the air TV.
Listen, you'll be surprised. Like I said, there are a lot of people. My brother, he's one of them. Like, he just will not pay for streaming. He doesn't have internet. He literally, and I know that's a whole other conversation. But so he doesn't have streaming. He doesn't have cable. He literally has an antenna, and he only watches what he gets on that, because he doesn't watch that much TV, but so he's not going to pay for TVs the way he looks at it. But he's watching NXT now, because that's the wrestling he gets now, because he lost SmackDown. It's off of Fox now, so he doesn't, so his wrestling is going to be NXT.
Well, he's getting a good program. Do you think the fact that they feature women's wrestling so much is part of the reason they do so well?
I honestly, I have a weird take on NXT that I don't know if it matters who they roll out there as far as the developmental talents. I don't know that they're moving the numbers. I think people are just like, hey, it's the developmental talent. It is who it is. And like, you're going to get who you get. And by the way, I think the selling point was CM Punk on the first one. And they just, and here's the thing. I had a weird take on this the other day. I can't remember if I did this on the air with Heath or not. I can't remember. We were talking about this, and I said, I've got two predictions. NXT will clearly become an actual third brand. Like, I think they're going to, in the way they're going to do that, that's one. But part 2 of that prediction, I'm laying money on the NXT becomes a 3-hour show.
3-hour show?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they've got the talent. I mean, they have so many people on that show trying to push up and get up there. They got people they can't even get on the show. They've got stacks of talent that they're having to use as extras and stuff like that. Why do I want to call it Nerd You? Because they're a comic book store, but the Chase You storyline. It could be Nerd You. It's a horrible storyline. They got people that they can't even get into matches because they've got so many developmental talents right now. And they probably got them on super bargain deals. But a third hour, if you're going to say a third hour, if they get it as part of that deal, if they can add a third hour for a little bit more, I'd like to see what's the biggest program on the CW.
That's my argument. I think I did some research when they first did this deal, and look, if my numbers are wrong, I'm telling you, I'll own it. This is vague memory of me thinking back a couple months when we were looking through some numbers. Their average show is like 400 and something thousand, is somewhere in that range is what they usually get. Maybe 5, whatever. So here's my take. If I said if the CW comes a calling, let's say the average show draws 500,000, hypothetically. If the CW can go, hey, what else are they going to put in that hour from that 10 to 11 hour, right? If they get a call and they just go, listen, WWE, give us a third hour, and here's where the bargain gets in. We'll give you an extra $10, $20 million. Like, we'll double the deal for the third hour. I don't think you got to double it. If you even told them you give them another $10 million per year.
$5 or $10 million. I mean, you're already there.
What we always talk about, it's just so incrementally cheaper because everything's already there. You're literally going to transmit out another hour. That's all.
When you go back to the performance center and you're not traveling and you got another hour, I mean, if you got 850 over 2 hours, say you get 7 over 3 hours, because the length of the program is going to hurt the ratings eventually.
Sure.
But you still got that's more millions. Okay,
it literally could potentially be your 3 highest hours on your network. Taking live sports out, we've already had that conversation. In other words, football and NASCAR and stuff did do better, but regularly scheduled shows. Right, and I'm saying you're talking about when you're regularly weekly content that you're getting 52 weeks a year. Yeah. If you could literally incrementally build that up, like that's insane. And so my take was, now WWE can lean forward and look at that 185 and go, hey, just if y'all want a third hour, they could make the phone call. We'll give you a third hour if you throw in an extra 10, because you're getting a way better deal than these guys get. Now, here's where we got to play devil's advocate and be a little fair. The 185, by the way, that was 2 shows. It was Collision and Dynamite. So let's say you cut that in half. So you're at $90 million for 2 shows. You're still getting a bargain. Oh, but by the way, it also included the live streaming on Max, and eventually, this is what we're hearing, per Meltzer, he's saying that so the library is not going to be instantly on Max day one. It's going to trickle in over time, and they'll add it a little bit at a time and back up. The eventual goal is, yes, it'll all be there, but it's not everybody. Everybody's assuming it's going to be there day one, and it's not. So that 185 is split amongst the streaming on the Max and the library on Max and Collision and Dynamite. No matter how, if you split this deal into 3 pieces, you're still at $60-something million.
Yeah.
It's a bargain because, by the way, NXT is for 3, kicked all 3 of their butts combined. Now, that's not going to be the normal, but it would have beaten them individually all 3 shows that they've gotten. So you could argue, we gave you a deal at 25. How about we go to 35 and we'll give you another, we'll give you a third hour.
Get a deal when it comes back up. And I hate anytime we quote Meltzer.
This is the other big part of that prediction. I don't think it goes that far. I think this whole thing's restructured and redone beforehand. Now that they're seeing some numbers.
Yeah.
I think we'll move on after this. I think if we see 6 months of these numbers, that deal gets done. I think we get the third hour.
It might not even take that long. But I hate, like I said, I hate quoting Meltzer. The Wrestling Observer newsletter just got a new advertiser, Harbor Freight Tools. They all are about the same reliability as Dave Meltzer. So that's a horrible joke, but I just don't trust the guy anymore. I don't trust him. He's a total buyout. But then we heard this horrible news about AJ.
Yeah. So speaking of not trusting what's out there. Did you see the injury on Smackdown mid-match? They essentially call the match, they stop it. And then of course where this all stems from is people online were like, oh, it's a work, it's not real, it's part of the storyline. And everybody's like, well, if it was a storyline, why does it make sense to do it like immediately when he came back? He had just gotten back. So, and then of all people, by the way, this is where, and look, could it be a work? Sure. But AJ himself is the one who put this out there. responded and said it's a Liz Frank, and I'm probably butchering this, the Liz Frank injury. Do you know what that is? Like, did you look into what the injury is?
No, I had to clarify it wasn't a Lisa Frank injury, because that was a scary part. But then when he explained it and everybody said, "Oh, this is really, really horrible," and he said, "I was expecting to see bones sticking up out of my foot." Yeah.
So apparently, it's the bones and the ligaments in the arch of your foot that kind of help distribute the weight and everything on your foot from your leg or whatever. There's multiple things. There's strains, there's tears, and there's broken whatever. There's all different things that you can actually do. But it means something in there is either like a bone's misplaced, a tendon or a ligament has been misplaced, or something's broke. Like it could be a bunch of different things. But we're hearing like, hey, this guy's out probably a year with this injury, like an entire year. That's how bad this is, because you don't think about it like foot injuries are the worst because that's what's carrying your body. I mean, and so that's why, especially in your foot, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Hell, dude, I just broke my ankle, and it took me forever to get back from it because I had to walk on it. Imagine being an athlete and having to use it for athletic stuff. I just needed to walk. So I can imagine how this would be for an athlete. And AJ Styles got to be one of my favorite all time. A local guy, did great. I hope it is a work. I was enjoying the fact that if this is going to be his last run, I could be there and watch it. I had the chance and the time to watch it. People were saying stuff about TNA. What a good time, since WWE and TNA are working together, that we could see if it was possible.
Well, I think that was the plan, is that he was going to get this. By the way, put this in perspective. We were potentially looking at, over the next year, we were getting the AJ Styles, John Cena retirement tours over the next year. And it was supposed to be, theoretically, rumoredly, whatever. AJ would get an opportunity to work in TNA a little bit. I mean, because look, that's where he became like a nationally known guy.
Yeah,
was TNA, and that's, be honest with you, it's kind of what got him the first looks and saying like, and obviously he did the New Japan thing first and then came in. So I think it would be so appropriate for him to have a match in TNA or a feud in TNA during that year run, so he can kind of wrap a whole lot of stuff up and basically. Yeah. Kind of like I said, I mean, I think it's cool that that's clearly showing you that Triple H has got his head in the right place to sit there and go like, hey, we're going to give John Cena an opportunity to go out like with a retirement tour. AJ doing the same thing. Here's my question at the end of this: do we get this now? Like, because he had to recover. He came back and he did the whole thing to even get back this time.
Yeah,
we had heard rumors that like he was almost likely to be done the last time. Does AJ Styles, it's not can he do it? He's a phenomenal athlete, no pun intended, but does he have the want to do it? Like, does he have literally the desire to rehab for a year to then come back and, try to do a retirement?
And retire for a year. And I was really hoping for a AJ Styles John Cena match. I can't lie. I really wanted to see that, but
here's the crazy thing: you still could. The timetables would work out. It would be at the very end of John Cena's career, because if he goes from January to December, if it was a year before AJ's back and he's back in October, you would have October, November, to December to get it in. But I think that's going to be time will tell kind of thing. So I don't know, man. I hope he does. I mean, but at the same time, it's been a heck of a career. He's such a family guy. I wouldn't put it past him to go, you know what? I think in my opinion, WWE is going to have to sell him into coming back. I would say he's more likely to just say, this is a sign, and walk away. The only thing that gets in the way of that is him deciding, I want to go out on my terms. I want to have a match. There's something I want. If he's already done that, then I think he's done. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just think that that's probably his desire to be done and be home with his kids.
Yeah.
So, especially his daughter. And, you know, that when he's got that girl, that's a totally different thing than boys. You know, that he wants to be around there, and I know she's young and he wants to be there. But
yeah,
you know, but look,
we all have girls. We both have girls. You have
yeah.
3 of them. I just have 1. I can only imagine. Oh, speaking of women,
yeah.
The PWI 250 women came out, and a comedy gimmick that claimed to get a lariat from Stan Hansen, no arms included.
So let's pause there. I'm going to ask you that. You call her a comedy gimmick, and I don't think she is.
She tells jokes basically the whole time and acts like she's whatever.
I know, but I don't see her as a comedy bit. I see her as a gimmick, like a character gimmick, but I just don't see her as like, to me, Orange Cassidy is a comedy gimmick. She goes in there and she wrestles. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's where I maybe I'm losing the disconnect. She actually wrestles a very old style, but she wrestles. The character with the mic, I get what you're saying. I understand that, but to me, I just see Orange Cassidy as a comedy gimmick. There are guys that are gimmick, but
okay, where would you consider R-Truth? R-Truth is a phenomenal wrestler. He has a comedy gimmick, in my opinion.
But I think a lot of his is because his stuff is jokes. Haha, is jokes. I like her comedy. I think is funny to you, but I don't know.
I don't think it's funny. I just think it's goofy.
But that's what I'm saying. So I think it's not for Myron. So you think it's comedy, versus I just think it's more of a. Okay, and it's a far jump, but very similar in a way. I don't. I was gonna say Pat Roach, you know, kind of being that old school, like, you know.
No, Pat's a serious wrestler, and he. I'm not saying he lives the gimmick, but his gimmick is the whole thing he puts out on social media, and everything you get about Pat is portrayed as the old wrestler. He talks about Harley Race nonstop. He's not talking about getting hit by his wiener, you know, like she was talking about, and having an affair with Stan Hansen. You know, Pat doesn't say Stan Hansen did something to him in Japan.
But it's because here's
the
what
tobacco
I like
juice dripping onto her back.
But here's what I like about it.
A little too much.
What I like about it is I think it tries to reach a casual fan base a little bit just because of the character more than a lot of stuff they do there. Maybe that's why I put it plus. Now, here's the thing. I'm not arguing she's number one. That's not what I'm arguing. I was just saying I don't think she's a comedy wrestler, but it could be totally me.
So she had the AEW championship for 9 months. Fair enough. They went out of their way to put in a lot of talented Japanese wrestlers. Talent that I looked up every single one of them because I wanted to know what their qualification, and they're very qualified. I don't watch Japanese women's wrestling. Most of the people I know that watch Japanese women's wrestling in America are odd. I don't know what a Princess of Stardom, Princess Championship is. Most of the Japanese women's wrestlers that have come to America have been phenomenal. You know, Sky is great. I love Asuka. She's out right now. I thought the ones that have wrestled here in WWE were represented pretty well. Some of the ones that have wrestled AEW represented pretty well. Jordynne Grace, high or low, number 2. What do you think?
Listen, we could argue the whole list. I mean, that's the problem with these lists is it's everybody's personal opinions.
Well, I'm just gonna look at
me personally. I mean, honestly, I probably would have put her. Here's the problem. I think she's. If it were me doing a list, I wouldn't argue the 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue the 1, but not the 2. Does that make sense? Like, but I think a lot of it falls into when they do their calendars of when these things count. Like they're judging from this time to this time. Yeah. That stuff matters. Why is Rhea 3? Okay, because she was injured during some of the time and she had lost her time, you know. So I think it's the cycles that throw people off. But that's just me. But
it's October 1st until September 30th. Bailey did well. Willow Nightingale had her same thing as last time. I thought it was funny. Roxanne Perez came at 11. She made the remark about Athena working jobbers on a show that's not even on television.
No, and listen,
but that's Roxanne's character.
It is her character, but there's also a very strong point to be made of what's the criteria, when you get into those things. Like, because my thing is, look, Athena is the Ring of Honor champion, the women's champion.
Well, let me read you what they posted.
Oh, quick. No, you don't have to. I saw it. I was saying in the hypotheticals of when we put those things out there, she's the Ring of Honor champion. She has been since when? Why? Because there's nobody to wrestle hardly. Yeah. And it's not on TV. I mean, they do some pay-per-view stuff with her, but I think she's a great talent. I'm not knocking her in-ring ability, but Roxanne Perez, I would probably put her above her.
Yeah. And
here's the problem. I'd have Roxanne Perez way higher than she is. Yeah.
Stephanie Vacour at number 5 versus Roxanne Perez is something in NXT, something I'm super excited about. They're both so good. Liv Morgan at 12, Io Sky. Becky Lynch is on the list, and she hasn't wrestled since WrestleMania, has she?
Right. I see. That was the one that, believe it or not, I was like, I don't think Becky probably deserves to be on here.
No, I agree 100%.
So I just look. Here's the problem. We all sit there and like, oh, who's the best women's wrestlers or whatever. We start throwing out Charlotte. Well, Charlotte hasn't wrestled in feels like it for a year. So okay, so she's not going to be on the list. I never get heated about these. Really, I don't. These lists, because it's criteria and who did it. Those things matter tremendously. It always boils down to this. This should be whoever picked this list. It's their favorite wrestler. Women.
Oh God, yeah. But can we question Vince Russo real quick? Vince Russo said Lia Valkyria would never get over with her gimmick. That gimmick would never get over, and here she is. It's number at 20. Is she over, or is she just on the list?
She's on a list.
Okay, I don't think she's over. They've had her put her with the part, whatever the name is, that the party team. I can't remember. They're really good. Caden and my brain sometimes. The younger two girls that do the keg stand and
Katana Carter and
Katana and Chance, Caden Carter and Katana.
And the funny is, she's always going to be Casey Catanzaro to me, but I mean, it is what she is. So
very, very good. But the thing is, yes, I don't think she's over, but she's great. She beat Becky Lynch in NXT, but I just don't think she's over. But over is kind of relative anymore. But you know what's over, Nick?
What's that?
It's over talking about national wrestling. Let's make some drives, buddy.
That's right, man. Well, look, it's Making the Drives as we bring to you every single week, brought to you by JMartinCompany.com. All your pressure washing, window cleaning needs. Look, they do your driveway, they'll do your house, they'll do it all, man. And it's simple. JMartinCompany.com. You can find them on the website. You can go to them on the Facebook as well. I personally just message them through the Facebook. It seems to be the easiest way. So Making the Drives by JMartinCompany.com.
Might actually see him Friday night.
Maybe.
Going to be my birthday, Jamie. Friday night. You going to come out and see me? Wish me a happy birthday? Because I'm going to Disruptor with Nick.
Yeah, man. Look, it's Tannery Row Ale House, Buford, Georgia. Disruptor back in the house one more time. And, man, they've actually got look, I know it's like they tease you. They make you wait till the last minute to find out who they are.
Yeah.
But, man, when they announce these cards, man, they actually have some really cool stuff on, especially on this one.
Yeah.
Look, let's jump straight to the main event. Vari Morales, Zicky Dice for that Disruptor title. Two pros. Like, these are both, super talented. Look, we have a great debate on a weekly basis that Vari Morales, is he the most overlooked guy in Georgia right now? That's
green eggs and ham. I would watch Vari wrestle on a train. I would watch Vari wrestle on a plane. It doesn't matter. He's that good. I would watch him wrestle anybody. Whoever he wrestles, he brings out the best in. I've seen him take guys that weren't even up to his standards and make them look like $1 million. The guy is phenomenally talented. I wish more people would pay attention to him and book him, because he's dynamite. You aren't defending your Tannery Row title on this show, are you?
No.
Okay,
no.
Because you are the most over man at Tannery Row.
I don't know about all that.
You bring your own crowd, but still, you draw a huge response there.
Yeah, but look, I think this main event it's probably going to be a real
it'll bring the
barn
house
burner.
down.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Couple other matches on the card: Beasley and Randy Wentworth. They're going to face the Superstars. I know some shifting happened over the last few days, but the Superstars, man, those kids, I'm glad. Look, I'm glad Tommy had the opportunity to go out to the New Japan dojo, did some training out there. He's back. So I'm happy to see these guys back in, back in town and working together again. Beasley and Randy Wentworth are going to be. It's an odd couple for a pairing. That's all I'm going to say.
I think that will cause a problem in this tag team because Randy Wentworth is so particular. He's very Randy Wentworth.
Yeah, very much so.
So Beasley should be a thing. I'm looking forward to this Eastern Seaboard title match. Rico is somebody who keeps climbing up my chart of guys to watch. I'm not over familiar with Dante Casanova.
So the Disruptor crowd should be pretty familiar with. He did do it. He did make an appearance there at one show. I think he was in a 6-man at that show. He is a massive dude. He's kind of like got a it's like an Aztec warrior kind of look to him, whatever. So I think what you're going to see is a lot of speed versus a lot of strength. Dante is a big dude, and by the way, he does a little stuff at Mucha Lucha.
Oh, nice!
So he can go if you haven't seen him. So it's going to be fun to see him and Rico go. And this could be it probably will be his biggest physically challenges for this Eastern Seaboard title. But so I don't sleep on Dante Casanova. I think there's a really big opportunity for him. So here's the other one I want to ask you about. We're going to talk about the Party Animal Championship.
Your favorite big guy.
Big Trouble Ben Bishop, absolutely one of my favorite big guys right now. In-ring size, agility, strength, but then the guy who gets it from a charisma standpoint. But he's going to be in a Party Animal Championship match against Better Together. It's a tag team.
Yeah.
So there's a tag team challenging Ben Bishop, kind of a borderline in a handicap match, you would call it. The question I have is it going to be size or the numbers? Like, who's going to have the upper hand here? Some people would argue the numbers game is in Better Together's favor, but I would argue, but I've seen them all. Big, he's a big dude, and does he have what it takes to overcome the odds?
Stood toe to toe with Cruel Friday night.
Yeah.
Making more appearances in the Georgia area. I don't think fans can get enough of him. Looking forward to see more of him. Big men are a weird thing. They're getting booked better in Georgia than I think most places. I know big men are not booked well in AEW. Have you read a lot of the things that they're saying now? That Tony Khan's not good at big men, and I get that. But then again,
I think you could see it. Yeah, you could see
half his talent are small guys.
Yeah.
What is Luke Sampson? He's the Valhalla champion, but who's he wrestling?
Don't know yet. That's going to be a surprise. That we're going to find out who he's. Yeah, I'm eager to see who his opponent is. He's just a big dude, who likes to go in there and do those big style fights.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that Valhalla title represents. So I'm sure they will not disappoint. But look, there's also, by the way, going to be another number one contenders match.
Now this
one is going to be potentially. It may not be the best wrestling match I threw air quotes up there, guys. But it is going to potentially be one of the most entertaining, and that is Cody Fluffman versus CB Suave versus Tim Miller. Winner's the number one contender for that Party Animal Championship. Look, Fluff won the week last week for us.
Got the biggest pop. At Southern Honor. Got a bigger pop than Gary Lamb in his own building. Now, don't tell Gary I said that.
Gary, he said that when I picked against you, and I was right. But he's saying it. I didn't say that yesterday.
Okay.
CB Suave. Could have.
No, he got a bigger pop. Okay, I'm sorry, Gary. You can take it up with me later. But I heard the pop, and it was a bigger pop. But this is probably going to get a big pop that night. Tim Miller, local favorite. This is going to be a big deal. CB Suave, perennial tapped out favorite. This will be a great match. For the number one contender for the Party Animal title. Good God, if it's going to have to face a tag team or Big Ben Bishop, I might pull out of this match.
No, I think there's a real opportunity for all three of these guys. Look, Tim Miller has been on a run here at Disruptor, so lots of opportunities. CB Swabe, former champion, and Cody Fluffman, super hot, just across the board. Fans that he had a. So at the last show you missed, they were in a triple threat tag match with Sean Legacy, and just the crowd up on that VIP stage ate up Fluffman. They absolutely were 100% behind him.
Charisma.
Yeah. So I think that potentially could be a show stealer. So keep an eye on that one. Not the only show on Friday, by the way. Going to be several shows, to be honest with you.
This action card is dynamite. Man, if I could drive, I would take off for this show and might split off with you, because this show is, dude, Bobby Flacco, who to me is the most interesting follow on social media. If you hadn't seen where this kid goes, I show this kid to my kids. Say, look at what this interesting guy is doing.
Yeah,
I know your daughter
on YouTube.
I know your daughter is and traveled all over South America, so she's seen a lot of the same. And your son-in-law is from South America. Fascinating guy versus that big one called Manders for the title.
Bobby's earned this. He had earned an opportunity. He had an opportunity to face him. Came up short. Didn't complain. Put his nose to the grind. Went back to work. Picked up some more wins. Earned another title shot. The question becomes: is it finally Bobby Flacco's time in action wrestling? He was like an early day one guy. Yeah. He just grinded and grinded to the point that those fans just took to him. They love him. They're 100% behind him. It's just, can he get over the hump? Can he become your action champion? Because Manders is an absolute stud, an absolute beast, and he's a heck of a champion, by the way. Yeah. He defended that title in Germany. So, I mean, he's putting in the mileage, and he's doing it too. So, we're not taking anything away from the one called Manders. But we love Bobby Flacco. And I want to see him just get over that hump and put on like a major promotion title like Action around his waist.
Yeah. But, man, my main man, Alexander Lev and Darian Bankston, got a 2 out of 3 falls. This is going to show how good Lev is versus a guy that's an incredibly talented wrestler, a guy that's coming up quick, a guy that's just so skilled, Darian Bankston. I don't know where this is going to go. This is where you get one of those matches that they bring in. It's an action match where you're going to get action. Yeah. This is going to be a quality match.
Here's my thing. I think Alexander Lev probably has more weight on his shoulders for this match than Darian Bankston does. Darian Bankston, he's been at Action. They've seen it. They've actually seen what he can do. Lev, same, but Lev's going to have to up his game and show a more athletic base, or to make a run in this match. That's my opinion.
Well, you're signed by the NWA. You've got a target on you now. People are going to always want to see how good they are versus unsigned talent. And they're going to go for it. And this is going to be something where he's going to have to defend himself. So this will be interesting. There's a lot of good, interesting stuff. Looking forward to see how Jaden Newman measures up to Alex Kane.
Well, look, we saw Jaden Newman. We saw him, on Team Action at Southern Honor this past week. But look, apparently Alex Kane feels like he stuck his nose in his business. Wasn't super happy about it, so he's going to, make Jaden Newman pay. Go take him to Suplex Island, as he likes to say. But I think Jaden Newman will probably have something to say about that. I think it's not going to be as easy as Alex Kane thinks. Because Jaden Newman, once he came back and kind of was refocused and stuff, he's been on a heck of a tear everywhere, man. So it could be a surprise for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Here, if I was making a surprise pick on this whole card, this one's going to shock a lot of people. Shook D is wrestling Jamison Shook. Jamison Shook, SCI Futures guy, whatever. I see. Look, Jamison Shook is ready to make an upset win. Mm-hmm. This is it, in my opinion. I'm gonna pick he's gonna pick up an upset win over Shug D. Some people would say it's not an upset. I would disagree because Shug D's a vet that's been around for a long time, done a lot of big things. So it will be an upset, but I think you're gonna get it. So I'm excited for this kid.
Okay, so I need clarification on this last match. Okay, Matt Sells versus Colby Carino. We like both guys. We love Matt Sells. Is this going to be a Matt Sells match or a Colby Carino match? Because they're very different workers.
Me personally, here's the thing. Matt Sells, my fourth favorite wrestler, right? We always say that. Matt Sells is always going to make you work his game. That's the thing. It's going to be a Matt Sells match because Matt Sells, he's going to drag you into his. He's not going to let you. He's not going to go out there. He might, he might have a few too many before the show, but he's not going out there and going like, hey, I'm going to steal the show. No, he's going to go out there and he's going to do what Matt Sells does, and it's going to be a fun, entertaining match, and he's going to, do his thing and make you come to him. That's my take.
I just Colby Carino will bust a man open. Colby Carino will bleed anywhere and do some amazing stuff. The difference in looking forward. I mean, I can't wait to see a video review of the show. I can't wait to hear how this turned out. Thank you, Matt Griffin, for putting on such an amazing card.
Also Friday night, Forever Pro Wrestling up in Calhoun, bell time 8:00. They scary hour. That's look, we're into the holiday, the Halloween season, so all the shows have a lot of Halloween themes on them. Forever Pro does what they do up in Calhoun, man. They keep bringing in guys like Kevin Ryan, Jameson Shook, we just talked about. He's on the poster, so we'll see Joe Black, Teriyaki, Shane Oakley, Northside Heroes, the Mongrel, and Trevor Aon making their debuts. And listen, they're finally getting into women's matches at Forever Pro. Jazzy Yang and Nikki Heat. It's the first women's match completely ever in Forever Pro. So, that should be an interesting take up there at Forever Pro in Calhoun,
Nikki
Georgia.
Heat's moving up in the Georgia wrestling scene. Jazzy Yang just made the PWI list. So we'll see how this turns out. If they're going to add talent, those look like two talents, upcoming talents to be added. My boys up at SCA in Royston, they got a good-looking show booked. You got your Fallout from Fighterweb. Caleb Crocker's back at SCA. Every Friday night.
The question is, will they? Is he going to tell us why? He just kind of surprised returned at the last show at Fighterweb, and you're like, no explanation, so we're going to have to wait and see. So that's, you got to get out there and see, like, why is he back? What's he going to, what's his goal? What's his thing? And look, Tower survives Fighterweb. Kudos to Tip. We talked about it on the Tapped In show, but you got to, what's next for Tower? He just went through it, seems like everybody. So that's why you got to get out to Royston.
I'm trying to decide who is, for that part of town, that area, who is the most annoying manager, Rick Page or Kenny Beckner?
Right now, it's got to go Page, probably.
Yeah.
Because he's all over the place with Tower. I think that's probably why he's more annoying than any, is because he's got a monster that he's, when a guy can talk a lot of trash, but then he sends that beast out there to just run roughshod over everybody. That's why he's annoying.
Hey, that, and he shows up at other people's shows in his cheap suit. I guess he's trying to get on the mic there too. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, look, obviously we talked about we're going to be at Disruptor on Friday, but then on Saturday, it's this week's show of the week. We're going to be heading over to Monroe, and we are going to check out Crossroads, Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. We had this debate of it, it's like, is it their Rumble? Is it their SummerSlam? It's like, this is their second biggest show. Shindig is their big one. They run that one at the beginning of the summer. Crossroads comes right here into the fall season, heading into winter, but fall season. And it's always a loaded card, man. And this one is no different whatsoever. Main event of the show, of course, is for that Southern Fried Heavyweight Championship. CT Keys is finally going to have in a match. I don't know if it's good or bad, but CT Keys will wrestle Jeter, the big man himself, challenging for that Southern Fried Championship. And it's a talk. Look, lots of times I always tell people I wouldn't bet against CT Keys. I'm not saying I am this time, but I understand the bet if somebody's going with Jeter because the dude's a legend in Georgia and he's a monster.
Jeter is, to me, Jeter is so unique and he's special because you just don't see Jeter every week in Georgia, especially in the circuits we run in. The shows we go to a lot, you don't see Jeter every week, so he's a special attraction. You see him on a card, you know he's coming. It's something you got to get out and go see. Uh, One of the smartest men I've dealt with. Interesting guy, but he is such a intimidating, just horrifying wrestler in the ring and outside the ring. His promos are just scary. If you ever get a chance to get out and see Jeter, and now he's in the main event for the title. God, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
When
because
they
here's
put
my
on a
take
show
on
like
it, man.
this,
Let me ask you. He's special.
Yeah.
He's a monster. He doesn't, he's not out everywhere. You do pick and choose where he's at. But here's the thing. The credibility that he has is he could walk into a promotion and immediately he is a viable, legitimate contender for your top championship.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. He's a threat to win it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like, oh, we just walk some guy in here. No, and by the way, he seemed to be, in this scenario, he pick and chose his spots for a reason. I'm curious. Look, that you made me do this. I'm wanting to know why. Like, what in the whys? Like, there's got to be more, and we got to peel this onion back to find out what the story. What's deep in that story. So
yeah, I'm excited about this match. I'm excited about, was it Technical Destruction? Is that what they're calling the tag team? Todd Sexton and Jedias. I always love getting Todd back in the ring. Anytime Todd's in the ring, it's worth watching. Versus the Approved for the tag belts, another championship match. Where do you see this going? What do you see?
Well, look, they're building this thing as a street war, so obviously, you know what I think is going to happen. It's going to be total chaos all over the Boys and Girls Club there in Monroe. I mean, they're going to keep your head on a swivel if you're in the crowd. Get ready to move on the fly because they're going to probably brawl all over that gym.
Is your cousin coming?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I can hide behind him.
Yeah. Not real sure, man. And look, it's the show of the week, so we passed on too quick. You got to make a pick: CT Keys or Jeter.
Jeter.
All right, I'm going CT Keys. Believe it or not. Todd Sexton and Jedias versus the Approved. Who you got?
Sexton and Jedias.
I'm going Approved.
The Approved have had those belt forever. It's just Sexton
you don't.
Jedias.
So you don't think they're going to get them back? I mean, Sexton and Jedias have them. They've won them a while back.
Okay. You're right. The Approved will take them. Sexton and Jedias is not a team that's going to run with belts forever.
See, I'd beg to differ. That could be the case, but I'm just going Approved because it's always a numbers game with the Approved.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Halen and Hawkins, both great athletes, great wrestlers, absolutely without a doubt. But it's always, never, without fail, it's the numbers game, especially in a street fight where the rules don't matter.
Yeah. I was distracted thinking about the cheese fries. I get the cheese fries every time I go there. I love them. That's all I was thinking about. One thing I was thinking about is Buck versus Nadja, the best of three, the third match, the rubber match as they call it, Classics title, refereed by Bill Behrens. Will we see Bill Behrens in a referee shirt?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, he's gonna have a referee.
That'll be. It's always good to see Bill Behrens in something else, a different outfit. But Buck versus Nadja, this has been something that's been incredibly competitive. Two guys that you wouldn't think would match up as well as they have, but this has matched up very well. I've enjoyed the matches. I think I've only got to see one of them, but. And I've watched the other one on YouTube. Where do you see this going? Because this is your third match. Where can you see this going?
Same exact thing. I just think Narcissism's going to walk away with this. He's always got his buddy with him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, hey, and it's the distraction of like, oh, Bill Behrens is going to be the referee. Okay, yeah, but he could still be distracted by the guy outside the ring. That's the obstacle that you face when you're wrestling Narcissism. So I still think, without a doubt, Naj is probably your new Classics champion.
This Naja Hill run, what do you think about it? He was so popular as a babyface, and now he's doing this hoochie daddy thing, and he's, God, I'm gonna break the chair if I keep trying to thrust my pelvis like he does. But I have to think he takes it because he's a hot heel right now, and that's gonna draw money. Because then Buck's gonna have to have some kind of rematch. That's good stuff. Good stuff. The three-way match though is the one I'm trying to figure out. Jacob Ashworth has defended that Georgia Heritage title like everywhere possible. And now he's got Caution and Adonis. Two heels.
Yeah, I mean, look,
the most
Jacob
popular
Ashworth,
man in Monroe versus two heels. He can't drop it, Nick. He can't.
No, I don't think he will either. I think it's this Georgia Heritage title. It's his to carry. It's a banner. He represents and carries it all over Georgia. And my opinion, I'm with you. I just think Jacob Ashworth walks away. I don't care how, because here's the thing: when you talk about like, oh well, it's against two villains, two heels. Okay, well, you think they like each other? They probably don't like each other either. So they're both especially going for that title. So there's no teamwork in that sense of the word. There's always dissension, and Jacob Ashworth, I just think, is the guy for that title, and that's why I think he's going to go over for it. So
it's been so good. It's been so good to him. It's been so good for Georgia. But I just now realized we have the fourth member of the approved in a match. So all four members of the approved will be there. They're all on the card. Bobby Moore versus Sal Renaro, my favorite wrestler.
Listen, I don't want to pull the curtain back too much. Sal's on a losing streak. I'm really struggling how to say this one. I want to see if this match happens for the things that we know. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I don't know that this match happens, and I'll discuss it off air if you don't remember why. So we will see. But they will have. Listen, if a match if you can't deliver a match, they're going to always over deliver. So
Todd never under delivers.
No, correct. So
Todd always gives you more on a card than you expected.
Yeah,
I've never been to a bad Todd Section show.
No.
I've been to gooder Todd Section shows, but I've never been to a bad one.
Correct. Hunter James versus Seth DeLay. Look, since Hunter James has kind of moved on from Xavier Reyes, seems to be putting a target on the back of a lot of the veterans there in Southern Fried. I think that's kind of maybe, is Hunter James trying to become the legend killer? Like, is that what he's trying to become there in Southern Fried? If you are, by the way, a veteran there, that might mean you need to put keep your head on a swivel because he's going to start with Seth DeLay. And Hunter's just on such a run right now. If I'm picking matches, it's got to be Hunter. Look, I look Seth DeLay, great athlete, great talent. He's fan favorite there. Everybody loves him.
Yeah, you can't
Hunter James. Yeah,
you can't pick anybody but Hunter James in this just for the booking angle. Hunter's so talented. Hunter's so young. I really want to see Hunter get out more. I want to see him work all over. This is a good thing. He could do this gimmick with Nick Halen. He could do this gimmick with anybody in the approved, Jacob Ashworth, but he could do this same gimmick on any show. He could take this gimmick to other promotions. He could take this gimmick to Augusta. He could take this gimmick to North Carolina or Tennessee. This would be something interesting to see, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Come into your promotion. I'm the legend killer. Book it with one of your veterans. work 3 shows, 4 shows, move on to your next promotion on the side. Simple enough.
Look, we've challenged him to move on and try to do some other spots. So I encourage it, by the way, wholeheartedly. Also on Saturday, GPW, Georgia Premier Wrestling in Jasper, Georgia. Bell time's at 7. Look, you're going to have Josh Cantrell, Sid, the Superstars, Jimmy Wild, bunch more on this card. This loaded card. But this card, it is centered and focused around your main event, Warden versus Trevor Blackwell, and an I Quit match for the GPW championship. This thing's been going on for months now. Like, there's been opportunities won, multi-man matches, but this thing just has not, Trevor Blackwell's just been trying to end this thing and capture that gold. I Quit. I don't know. Here's the problem. When you have two athletes like this, I don't know quit in either one of these guys for a multitude of reasons. But I think that heart and the desire to become that champion, this is where I think Trevor Blackwell has an opportunity to jump to the top of the mountain in Georgia Premier.
Yeah, but he's got to go through a big guy. And I've seen that big guy holding back some WWE wrestlers lately. Him and Jimmy Wild, they've been on television. They've been WWE security. Warden, always been in our thoughts lately. His family lost so much in the hurricane. Super great guy. But he's a bad guy there. And I really want to know who would win this match. An I Quit match is about as brutal a match as you can book. And I don't know, man. I'd like to see this Jasper getting a quality promotion like this. So much good talent going up there.
Look, I always put them over there. Josh Cantrell and that team do a phenomenal show there in Jasper. They have I love the venue. The venue is spectacular. Look, it's because it's good. It's either going to be AC or it's going to be heated really well, depending on what the temperature looks like as we head into the fall. Always love it. The production's nice. I mean, it's really good. The setup, the entrance, it's just a really good venue. So if you're up there in that northwest, area, a part of Georgia, up in that Canton, Jasper area, I can't recommend them enough. Up there at GPW in Jasper, it's an excellent show for sure. Now, if you're going to be down on the other side, we're literally shooting all over the state here because Monroe's on one corner, Jasper's in the other corner. Then down in Buchanan, there's another corner. That's Premier All-Star. They're running down there in Buchanan, Georgia. Bell time's at 7 o'clock, by the way. It is All Hallows Eve. The Halloween themes continue right there at the Livestock Pavilion in Buchanan. And this is a promotion I've been telling people for a while. Keep an eye on them because they're doing some really cool stuff.
Continuing to up your game, continuing to bring in talent, continuing to build your audience. Murder One and Joe got a open challenge. I wouldn't take it.
Look, if you want to be the tag team champions, you got to take it.
Yeah,
that's the desire. Do you want to be a champion or do you want to be, just another guy on the card? Sometimes in wrestling, look, sometimes you got to step up to guys like Joe did to Judas. Like, it is what it is, right?
Quality stuff there in that match.
But you got, if you want to be the tag champions and Premier All-Star, you got to step up to Murder and Joe. I mean, it's one of those things. Look, we got the I Quit match, another I Quit match. How about that on the same night?
Oh, man, Halloween's going to be crazy.
Stevie Ray Frost, with the Pastor Donald Jakes in his corner, shocking, will take on Frankie Valentine for the Premier All-Star Championship. You've been putting over Stevie Ray Frost pretty strong.
Stevie Ray Frost, man, I'm telling you, that guy has been putting it together for a long time, working in silence, not getting the amount of credit he deserves. And here we are. He's the champion down at Premier All-Star with Donald Jakes as his manager. Donald Jakes, one of the behind-the-scenes heroes in Georgia wrestling. Don't ever tell him I said that because I'll deny it. in an I Quit match. What do you think the chances of Pastor Donald Jakes? Why would I want to call him Doctor? Does that mean he's a cheap Dr. Brock knockoff? But he's going to get involved in this, Nick. He always gets involved.
Yeah, I don't know that he wants to get involved, in this one. Frankie Valentine might have something for him, but it wouldn't surprise me. I will say that. It would not surprise me in the least. But look, it's going to go on beyond that. Your guy, the lethal lariat Lamar Phillips, right? It's going to be, in a with Tyson Maddox, fans bring your own weapons match. Listen.
No.
I know you're not a fan of it, but the fans love it, man. There's chairs, there's plungers.
They need to be gimmicked if we're going to use them. I'm sorry. Safety first.
Just because you bring them don't mean they have to take them, Myron. Think about it.
Okay.
That's it is what it is. But
what about that? What about that fatal 4-way for their WGW championship, man? Look at that.
It's an amazing cast of young talents. And I know some people would argue Trevor Aeon's not young. I would disagree with that because maybe I'm old. But Aaron Dallas, Trevor Aeon, AJ Black, and Alexander Lewis. It's a very good representation of younger, talents, down there for that WGW title. And look, I don't know. That's a tough pick. I mean, luckily we're not picking this card, but it's, I mean, we'll see.
AJ Black is a rising star. I've seen him do things where he's taken his gear to a show and got on the show just because he was there. That's the kind of stuff that get people booked. So I'm keeping my eye on him. Payne and Gaines, Ryan Marks and Chris Gaines. Not overly familiar with them, Nick.
Well, look, they're getting an opportunity to get. They're going to face Brother Azrael and Papa. Easy for me to say, Papa Marco, of course, with Talaferro in their corner. This is kind of a rematch, kind of sort of, from the Doug Summers Memorial Tag Team Tournament. Look, if you catch out, go on social media. Talaferro it's a good little warning to Payne and Gaines about what they're going to do to them at this show. So should be interesting. Great card top to bottom there at Premier All-Star this Saturday, the Livestock Pavilion in Buchanan, Georgia. So absolutely check them out, man. But look,
got Kenway on the card too.
Yeah. Alex Taylor, NWA. That's going to be a fun match. Both of those guys are in really good shape. But it should be an entertaining match.
Your speech, Mr. McDaniels.
Listen, man, this is something unique to Atlanta. We talked about this off the air. It's the Blood and Honey series. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, at Monk's Meadery. It's a 9 p.m. show, super late show. And everybody's kind of like throws up the question marks at 9 p.m. Yeah, folks, this is
Atlanta.
It's Atlanta, and I think this is the crowd for this.
This needs to be a later show.
Nathan Meadery kind of turned us on to this show, let us know a little bit about it. It's a deathmatch show. It's a lot of stuff on the card. Look, I'll give you the card, and then I'm going to tell you everything right. 2 regular death matches. Wade Smith and Jameson Shook, we just talked about. SCI guy in a death match, ? Nathan Meadery versus Dominic Stuckey in a death match. Wait, Dominic Stuckey in a death match? I got all kinds of questions, ? But then you got Sean Christopher and the spine-shattering Spectre in a cut can board match. And then the women's match, Lizzie Belair and Peyton Blair in a thumbtacks and rubbing alcohol kiddie pool match. And I know, here's my thing on this. This series has an opportunity to do something for Atlanta that's pretty special. And what I mean by that, I get it, deathmatch isn't for everybody, but there is a completely there's an underserved / not served at all deathmatch fan base in Atlanta. I think this is a huge opportunity for this promotion to service that that fan base and become something completely different. Better, better than, less than, or different than? We always talk about that. When all these news promotions start up and they come into town, we always ask, are you going to try to be better than this promotion, the best promotions? Because if you do and you're not, then you're less than. Well, why don't you try to be different than? Do something that makes you stand apart. Well, here it is, folks. Here's an opportunity that I always say, deathmatch fans here, in this Atlanta's market specifically, but let's just call it Georgia in general. Hey, I wish we had more deathmatch cards. Well, here's one. And we always joke. We said this about ourselves, by the way, when there was no shows in our area where we lived. Now there's a bunch of them. But when there wasn't, we used to say, when somebody finally does it, you either go and support it, or if you don't, it'll go away, and you have no reason to complain but yourself.
You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution, just to make it simple. I love Nathan Meadery. He's somebody I have a ton of respect for. It's somebody who's passionate about his art, and he does this as an art. I trust Nathan will put on the best deathmatch wrestling you're going to see. This is something he is very, very obsessed with. It's not for me. For the kind of people that like this kind of thing, this is the kind of thing those people like. If he serves a market that's unserved, he will be successful. I am honored to promote this show, even though it's not the kind of wrestling I like.
Look, you don't, and that's the thing. Like we always tell everybody, no, this is a opportunity for deathmatch fans to get what they've been looking for in this market for a long, long time. Because we hear them all the time. I would even encourage wrestlers who are big deathmatch fans, if you're not booked, go support this show.
Yes.
Because this is an opportunity, it's again. People talk about AEW. It's super serving an audience that the WWE maybe doesn't cater to. That that indie fan, that whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of the same concept. That this is an opportunity for them to serve an audience that just hasn't been served, either ever or often or ever for that matter. So check them out. Blood and Honey series. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. Monk's Meadery. That's 9 p.m. start time. Make sure you note that 9 p.m. bell time. You're going to get 4 probably absolute crazy matches from top to bottom. I can't even imagine.
Never had mead. Have you ever had mead?
I don't even. Yeah, no.
I think I'd like to try mead if I was drinking still.
Well, there you go. You should check it. You drive down there and have you one. You might have fun. Because by the way, I can't imagine anything better than beer and deathmatch wrestling together. That's a pair. That's a match made in heaven, right? So then we moved to Sunday, by the way, and this one caught our eye. It caught your eye because you asked me a question.
Oh! I couldn't resist asking you a question.
Yeah,
because this is. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm excited, but I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm so excited because it's a big announcement.
Yeah, GIPW, Georgia Independent Pro Wrestling in Gray, Georgia. Yeah, it's.
But what's the announcement?
Well, it's the big return. They've been gone for a while, but they're going to return. But now to answer your question, Bryce Cannon has announced he has a major announcement. Big announcement.
What's he been? I haven't seen him in a long time.
But listen, he's been injured. He's been on the shelf for a little while, for a long while, for that matter. And there's lots of rumor and innuendo about what his big announcement could be. And I'm not saying, but if you want to know what it is, you got to go out. That bell time is at 5.
Is he coming back, Nick? Do you know something? Is he coming back? Do you know something?
Here's the thing. If I knew, I would still tell you, buy a ticket, 5 p.m., GIPW at Gray, Georgia. Buy your ticket to find out what his big announcement is.
Is somebody at the show going to text me? If I can't make this show, will somebody text me or message me and let me know what the announcement is? I can't wait. I want to know as soon as it comes out what the announcement is, because this is about as important as anything else you're going to learn this weekend. Is he coming back? Is he going to be able to come back? Bryce Cannon is very important.
Let me say that exactly. I'm going to follow up. I was about to say Bryce Cannon's return to wrestling, specifically here in Georgia, will be huge. Massive news. If you think that's going to, I'm not saying, you might want to go down there and check it out, because you definitely want to be in the house. If that's what his announcement is, you absolutely would want to be there live and in person to have that scoop and be in the house when he makes that announcement.
Well, it's either gonna be just a round of cheers, or are people crying?
Yeah.
Are
So,
people cheering and crying?
well, look, we will have it to you next week on the Tapped In Show. We'll cover it. We'll break it all down, kind of what the big announcement was. So we'll talk about it. So check in. By the way, it's why, being a Patreon member, I might do it earlier than that if I get the scoop. I might put something out there. Lots of cool stuff on this show, by the way. It's not just a huge announcement, but that is a big reason to get your tickets. Eddie Hendricks versus Mr. Wright. Rob Killjoy coming for the Cash on Hand Championship against Nathaniel Vanderbilt. Nathaniel Vanderbilt's he's going to have a hard. Yeah, it's a tough one because Rob Killjoy is championship material through and through, and I would not be surprised by any stretch of the imagination him walking.
Huge Rob Killjoy fan.
Yeah,
huge Rob Killjoy fan for a reason.
Yeah,
guys, they're getting some really good talent on this show. Northside Heroes. I can't wait to get a report on the show to see how it turned out.
Yeah, look, the Wonder Boys are coming in. Aaron Dallas he's been there before, but hey, they're going to get the Ethan, the brothers, coming with him this time, so that's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see this team. They have piqued my interest because we're big Aaron Dallas. Like he's just I just want to see him as a team there. I know he's been in tag teams before, but this is obviously special with his brother. And of course, Michael the Fro Walker is going to be on the show, by the way.
Yep. That kid's getting a lot of buzz, The weird thing, though, about Aaron Dallas is I've never seen anyone could show up at any promotion and be known right off the bat, especially in the closed up communities of Georgia wrestling that don't get a lot of buzz. Yeah. Like don't get a lot of stuff where you have to have the same guys over and over. He gets a lot of buzz right off the bat.
Yep. So absolutely, again, GIPW, Gray, Georgia, bell time, 5 p.m. on Sunday. Special time, obviously, on Sundays. A lot of the shows do start a little bit earlier. Check them out. It's their big return, Unleash the Hounds. And when, like I said, we tease it once, we'll tease it again. Bryce Cannon's got a huge announcement, so you absolutely want to be in the house for that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear this. Like I said, if somebody can get to it as soon as possible, let me know. Because Nick doesn't tell me stuff. I'll probably have to look at my Patreon subscription to see what it is.
Look, it's not the only, by the way, it's not the only. We got two shows on Sunday. PCW is running. Bell time is at 7 p.m. right there in Conyers, Georgia.
It's a big show.
It's one of their biggest shows of the year, if not the biggest shows. It's Turn the Page 2 this year. And I think, listen, the headline says it all. Hunter James versus Narcissism for the PCW championship.
Nice choice.
Well, it's an earned opportunity for Hunter James. He has paid us, and come a long way. But look, Hunter's had a little bit of a run of bad luck dropping titles lately.
Yeah.
And we've talked a little bit about the opportunities now that he's getting opportunities in new places. PCW, Wrestle America, on and on and on. Can he look, I get it. In Southern Fried, he's trying to do this, he's going after these veterans or whatever. Hunter James needs to get that swagger back, and he needs to start picking up some gold.
Yes.
And this is, probably, well, it is. This is kind of his first opportunity since he's been without any gold whatsoever to put it back on him. And so I think this is a huge opportunity for him.
I love this card. I love this card altogether. The next match is a triple threat. I can't wait to see what this turns out to be. Duncan Mitchell is great, or Duncan Mitchell Avasilla. I can't pronounce that right. He's in there with Trey Shaw and Cedric Terrell. That should be worth seeing. The Diggs King of the Street Challenge. I haven't seen Huckabee in so long. I miss that guy. I haven't seen him in forever versus Lamar Diggs. I might go just to see Huck. If I can get a chance to get there, I would like to see this. What's your big thing on this card?
Dude, like I said, it is really loaded. I mean, like King of the Party Championship, Jay Miller, Edward Draven. Look, it's kind of curious. Rose Gold versus Nathaniel Vanderbilt in a no-holds-barred match. So we're going to have a no-holds-barred intergender match. It's kind of wild and crazy, but things have fallen apart for those two. So I'm not surprised.
Weren't they a couple?
We're going to find out, man, if this is just total chaos for these two. Romance. We'll see. I always
Romance going
jokingly say
south.
romance in wrestling doesn't usually end well for somebody. That's all we can say.
Oh,
Um,
I'm getting my wife
ERC,
to take me to the show Friday. That Friday show for my birthday. Um, I hope I don't mix my romance and wrestling.
don't do that. That's never going to end well for you. The street fight with DJ Smoke and ERC should be good. There's a platinum battle royal. It's like this is kind of like their Rumble. You do the battle royal, winner gets a shot at the champion any time of their choosing. So kind of like hodgepodge of it's a hodgepodge of Money in the Bank and Royal Rumble. But it's got look on this card like just Chad Skywalker, Dominic Stuckey, more and more and more. And it like I said, this is their biggest show of the year. This is kind of like. And it was funny. I put a thing out on social media about that. I'd really love to know more of like, if you're, this is the fans, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, your favorite indie promotion in Georgia, you choose. And then you would tell me like, hey, if there's one show a year that you had to go to, like my argument, I'm sure a lot of people probably say for PCW, it would be this show, right? That would make sense.
Yeah.
We used the example like, hey, at Southern Fried, like ours is Shindig, right? Like, hey, you got to go to Shindig. The controversy became with Southern Honor. Everybody assumed I would say anniversary show, and I said Rumblejack. I just prefer the Rumblejack.
The surprises of Rumblejack are my favorite.
Yeah, lots. It's why the Rumble is probably my favorite pay-per-view in WWE, right? Same concept.
Yeah.
So
I like surprises.
But yeah, look, man, we talk about this kind of things, and so let us know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. I'm just curious to get some feedback on that. And by the way, the most important thing of all, man, follow all these promotions. I try to tag them on Facebook specifically. When I put up the shows every Thursday, I try to put those on there. And because like they're just the shows happen so fast and there's so much. It's hard for us to keep up with it, to be honest with you. And we do miss one, and I apologize for that in advance. But a little help would be awesome, so I don't miss the shows. But give them a follow on social media. It's the easiest way to keep up with when they run their shows, the times, the dates, the addresses, all of those kind of things. I highly say that's the best way to do it. Now,
that's why you keep up with promotions on social media. If you want your favorite promotion show to be a local promotion and you don't see anything outside of that promotion, you're cutting yourself off. You need to get out there and see other promotions because they're not that far away.
No.
We complained years ago that there wasn't enough wrestling in Georgia. Now we don't have the ability to get to half of it or a third of it. There's so much. And we're trying our best to get to all these shows. Yeah. But if you want to promote it, get out there on social media, make your post shareable, tag one of us, send us the cards, send us YouTube videos, whatever you got, and we'll try to get it out there. Nick sends out forums every week, trying to get reports, trying to get cards.
By the way, I appreciate it. It's worked really well up to this point. So all of the promoters, like some promoters are like, they didn't even know they got somebody on their staff, like they're a referee, a manager, or a wrestler. Like there's always somebody like willing to do it for you. So, but and just as long as I know who to send it to, I do send it out. And by the way, I wanted like literally like a 95% like rate last week. So I was really cool. Like, okay, it's working. For sure at all the promotions that are helping us do that. But hey, that's keeping up with your favorite promotions. But if you want to keep up with us, that of course is over at tappedoutpod.com. That is our YouTube channel. Tappedoutpod.com takes you straight to it. Like it, subscribe to it, turn that little notifications bell on. I highly encourage becoming a member. Yes, you can go behind the paywall. You get a lot of extra stuff now. We're even picking up the pace on how much stuff we're putting in there, believe it or not. But look, if you're not a YouTube, you could be a Patreon person too. I love Patreon as much as anybody. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Like you said, bonus content, early episodes, on and on and on. And by the way, what some people love about it, Myron, they can just message me through Patreon. They can send in a message, like email, message, all that kind of stuff. So really, really easy way. So if you prefer that versus the YouTube stuff, hey, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. It's an easy way as well.
Subscribers get all kind of neat stuff.
Yeah, but look, it's a big weekend. Like I said, that was a lot of content for stuff. And let us know, by the way, if you appreciate the more indie talk, less a little bit of the national talk. I think we've decided we're going to do a little more national stuff on Patreon and on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like when stories break, like, you know, hey, we're probably not going to talk about it this week, but let's just cut a little quick thing and knock it up on there or whatever. So that's another reason, again, to sign up, right? Yep. All your questions, all that kind of stuff, you know, it will narrow down, but maybe specifically tappedoutpod@gmail.com, the emails will become the early starting point questions that we talk about the national stuff versus, you know, and then we'll just dive into our indie talk from there. So you never know, man. It's a blast. I know it's a little bit of a shake-up, a little bit of a change. People are adapting to it, but we appreciate all that support in general, even as we shift more towards that indie focus, as we like to say.
Yes, sir. We love you and we need you. Keep giving us that feedback so we'll know what to do to please you.
So anything else, brother, before we get out of here?
I wanted to talk more about the penguin, but, you know, let's fire up the old recorder and see what we can do after this.
Yeah, we might do that. So, well, man, if that's it, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.